Members, prayers. Almighty God, we humbly beseech thee, look with favor upon this Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Grant that it may perform its high duty as in thy sight. Give divine guidance to the President of the Republic. Endow members of Parliament and of State with discernment and vision, integrity and courage, that through the labors of government, this land and people may be well and truly served, and their good purposes for the common human life be realized in our midst. Amen. O God, grant us a vision of our country, fair as it might be, a country of righteousness, where none shall wrong his neighbor, a country of plenty, where evil and poverty shall be done away with, a country of brotherhood, where all success shall be founded on service, and honor shall be given to the deserving, a country of peace, where government shall rest on the will of the people, and the land good. Bless the efforts of those who struggle to make this vision a living reality. Inspire and strengthen our people, that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of Ghana and Africa. Amen. Honorable members, my welcome address. I'm pleased to warmly welcome you back to this August House after a short break that enabled us to fulfill a major constitutional mandate. I'm also exceptionally thankful to the Almighty God for keeping us safe and healthy during the rigorous political campaign season. During the recess, the Speaker engaged with 21 ambassadors and development partners as part of the debt cancellation campaign initiative in Africa. He noted that there is an urgent need for the forgiveness of debts since African countries are facing enormous challenges, including health expenses, slow foreign direct investments, reduction in trade volumes, decline in international price of crude oil, etc. At the meeting, the Japanese ambassador to Ghana and chairman of the Heads of Mission of Development Partners, on behalf of his colleagues, stated that 12 nations are open to discussing debt cancellation for Africa. The American Excellency Stephanie Sullivan referred to the HIPIC interventions as a program to alleviate developing countries from poverty. Responding to the concerns about HIPIC program, the Speaker noted that the support from the Program of Action to Mitigate Social Costs of Adjustment, PAMSCAD, was not sustainable enough for African countries to uplift them from the dependency syndrome to real partners in the development relations. Honorable members, we have a noticeably short time to wind up the activities of this House to complete our mandate as the 7th Parliament of the 4th Republic. There is no doubt that much will be demanded of us. I urge all members to brace up for the task ahead in the interest of our country. As has been the practice of the House, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, will deliver a message on the state of the nation prior to the dissolution of this House. The President's presentation is in fulfillment of Article 67 of the 1992 Constitution. Again, in accordance with the 1992 Constitution, this Honorable House will also be required to consider the approval of the executive component of the case of Article 71 office holders' report before the resolution House. Honorable members, as you are already aware, the reviewed standing orders have been laid and copies given to members. I would like to use this opportunity to commend you all for your timeous feedback in the review process. Before the suspension of the meeting, there were a few bills which had to be worked on, but given the paucity of time, this could not be dealt with. As time permits, we shall endeavor to consider all the outstanding works, including the 2 private members' bills, which were presented to the House, as much as possible. Honorable members, a date for the end of the term, Thanksgiving Festival of 9 Lessons and Carols, will be communicated to you in due course. I'd like to congratulate all members who sailed through the just ended elections. For those who could not make it to the next parliament, I encourage you to be consoled by your highly remarkable contributions to the Parliament of Ghana. And indeed, better luck next time. I'm optimistic that we shall all cooperate with one another to make the 7th Parliament end on a very sound and peaceful, loving footing. Thank you all very much. Honorable Minority Leader.
Let me thank you and also thank Almighty Allah for bringing you and our colleagues back for the 24th sitting of the 3rd meeting of the House, which commences today. And Mr. Speaker, to use this opportunity to congratulate newly elected members of Parliament, particularly the old ones who have had the privilege and honor of the electorate in their various constituencies to re-elect them, to serve them. Mr. Speaker, we have a duty to preserve our democratic ethos and values and to deepen it. That should reflect in what the wish of the Ghanaian people or what they express at 7th December, the polls. There are a few sticky points across the country, in many parts of the country. I was in Techima personally, and I was not pleased with what I observed, that an electoral cannot even make available to a political party declared results or results so declared. That cannot be in a multi-party constitutional democracy, whether an officer or a district officer, and to claim somewhere that his copy meant for a political party, the NDC, got banned. We are still following through, but what is significant is the loss of lives in Techima, that we had to visit 1 or 2 brief families arising out of shooting which resulted in loss of lives. That remains a negative blot on the conscience of our democracy. To choose our leaders, lives should not be lost and lost needlessly. There are still contested outcomes in some other places across the country. And what we expect is that justice be done. I have said that collation and aggregation of votes, CI 127 passed by this House, is elaborate. For instance, in Techima, Regulation 43 provides how aggregation is done and how declaration is done. We expect that to be respected. So we, NDC, we still have some dark clouds against what has been declared by the chairperson of the Electoral Commission. Her arithmetic, when you work out, give you 100.295%. That arithmetic error is not acceptable to us, so congratulations to members who won. So we are not able to recognize the outcome of the results declared by. Thank you.
Honorable Majority Leader.
Speaker, let me join you in welcoming colleagues back to the House. We adjourned the 3rd meeting to engage in the electioneering campaigns, and we had a month to do that. Speaker, upon our return, we still have a tall order of business to transact about 7 bills we have to consider and possibly pass. Speaker, we need to prioritize because we have to write latest on the 22nd of December, which gives us just 7 working days. So we have to prioritize the House, and those of them that are extremely important, we have to deal with. So our appeal to colleagues that beginning from today, we need to be in the House at 10 o'clock in order for us to be able to do business. The Speaker, as I said, is of essence. Time is not on our side. As to the issues raised by my colleagues, the Speaker, this is not the 8th Parliament, so I'm not going to make much remarks, except to say that for a political party that insists that it's won elections, you should have in your hands the pink sheets. But if you don't have pink sheets, and it's not that you have sent emissaries out there to collect and gather pink sheets, on what basis did you declare yourselves as winners? We are not there yet, so I will not make further comments on that. But people who want to really stand on the foundation of truth should be equipped with the elements of truthfulness, make proclamations. Because if you don't have a pink sheet, you cannot make any allusions to that fact. Mr. Speaker, as I said, Mr. Speaker, the usual raucous response. When the minority leader is talking, listen to him in peace. People should have the tolerance and to listen to others. Carry this to the 8th Parliament. We should be disciplined enough. The minority leader talks, all of us are all ears, listen to him. We can't carry this attitude to the 8th Parliament. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable so-and-so Jinapo should learn. The Honorable so-and-so Jinapo should learn and submit himself to leadership. That kind of attitude will not help him. Mr. Speaker, so as I said, we are not in the 8th Parliament. When we cross the bridge, litigations will be vented. And whoever has any claim, the doors of the court, as we submitted ourselves to in 2018. Mr. Speaker, I have nothing useful to have said. Thank you very much for the space.
Thank you very much, Honorable Majority Leader. Correspondence from the President. December 2020. Mr. Speaker, absence from Ghana. In accordance with Article 59 of the Constitution, I write to inform you that in my capacity as Chairperson of the Authority of Heads of State and Government of the ECOWAS, as well as President of the Republic, I will be traveling outside the country on Sunday, 13 December 2020 to Tuesday, 15 December 2020 to attend the swearing-in ceremony of HE President Alassane Ouattara, President-elect of the Republic of Cote d'Ivoire, on Monday, 14 December 2020 in Abidjan, and HE Condé, President-elect of the Republic of Guinea, on Tuesday, 15 December in Conakry. I will then travel to London on private visit from 15 December 2020. I will return to Ghana on Monday, 21st December 2020. During my absence, the Vice President, Alhaji Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, shall, in accordance with Article 60, Sub 8 of the Constitution, act in my stead. Accept, Mr. Speaker, the assurances of my highest consideration. Yours sincerely and with warmest regards, His Excellency, the President. Honorable members, rules and proceedings. Saturday, 7th November 2020, page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, 5, 6, page 7, page 8, page 9, 10, page 11, page 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 2, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43. Yes, Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On page 13, paragraph 4, report to the Committee on Health on the Engineering, Procurement and Construction Agreement for Kuchia. There is no town in none of the three constituencies called Kuchia. I suppose it's Asin Kuchia instead of Asin Kuchia. If the table office will take notes and amend accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable. 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59. Yes, Honorable.
On page 58 and 54 on page 58, there's a tax waiver in respect of BSW International Limited, which is captured in item 52, 53. Resolution in 54 brings in the Accra Metropolitan Area ICT. So the resolution captured as item 54 on pages 58 and 59. It should be for BSU International Limited of Gibraltar. What we have captured here on page 59, same is repeated on page 63, item 58, which is the ICT. The ICT waiver is captured rightly on page 63, item 58. So on page 59, item 54 on page 58, which is on page 59, the the whereas, it has to be in respect of DSW, International Limited of Gibraltar.
Thank you. Page 60, 61, 60, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100. Page 101, page 102, 103, 104, 5, 106, 107, 108. Members, the votes and proceedings of Saturday, 7th November 2020, as corrected, are hereby admitted as true record of proceedings. Official report, 29 October. Any corrections, please? Honorable members, in the absence of any corrections, the official report of 29 October is hereby admitted as true record of proceeding. Official report, 2nd November. Honorable members, for your consideration, in the absence of any corrections, the official report of 2nd November 2020 is admitted accordingly. Official report, 3rd November. And in the absence of any corrections, the official report of 3rd November is hereby admitted as true record of the proceedings accordingly. Honorable members, business statement. Honorable Majority Leader, Leader of the House.
Mr. Speaker, this is a meeting of within the fourth session of the House at the 7th Parliament. I'm not too sure because the final day I wasn't available. I don't know how the House adjourned. If the House adjourns sine die, then this will be another meeting. If the meeting was suspended, then this would be a continuation of the meeting. I have to look at the records to see what exactly happened. But having said so, that was interesting. The Speaker, so I was saying that for the records, if the meeting was suspended, it means that meeting was not completed, in which case this would be the continuation of the third meeting. But if we adjourn senior D, then this will perhaps have to be a meeting that will stand on its own. But having said so, Mr. Speaker, let me present the business statement. Let me present the business statement. Speaker, the committee met today, Monday, the 14th of December, and arranged business of the House for the week ending 18th December 2020. The Speaker accordingly submits its report as follows. The Speaker, you may read any available communication to the House. And due to the paucity of the period available for the transaction of business until the break for the Yuletide, the Business Committee has not programmed any minister to respond to questions during this period. Speaker, pursuant to Order 70, Sub 2, ministers of state may be permitted to make statements of government power. The statements duly admitted by you, Speaker, may be made in the House by honourable members in accordance with Order 72. The Speaker, bills may be presented to the House for first reading in accordance with Order 120, and those of urgent nature may be taken some stages in one day in accordance with Order 190. Pursuant to Order 75, papers for presentation to the House may be placed on the order paper for lay. Committee reports may also be presented to the House for consideration. Honourable Speaker, motions may be debated and their consequential resolutions, if any, taken during the week. Speaker, the Business Committee welcomes all members back from the general and presidential elections. The committee takes this opportunity to congratulate all the honourable members who were successful in the parliamentary elections. The committee, however, wishes members who lost their seats brighter future in their subsequent endeavours, including those of them who may want to stage a comeback. The Speaker, as honourable members are already aware, the period for the transaction of business until the break for Christmas is brief. As I said, we have just 7 sitting days, and leadership is not oblivious of the unflinching support and devotion of honourable members to the work of this House, nation at large. The committee therefore counts on the usual commitment and diligence of honourable members to another tall order of business for this winding up period. Speaker, the President has to come to this House with the final message on the state of the nation. That may have to be taken after Christmas. So we may have to reach another meeting between the 3rd and 5th of January for the conclusion of businesses and indeed for the message on the state of the nation to be given by the President to conclude his tenure for his first chapter. The Speaker, in accordance with Standing Order 162 and subject to Order 53, the Business Committee, says Honourable House, the order in which the business of the House shall be taken during the week under consideration. Speaker, the businesses have been set out Monday, the 14th of December, that is beginning today, until Friday, the 18th of December. Speaker, because we didn't start early, I'll save this House the burden of going through the business as set out by each day to entreat the hazard department to consider the entirety of the report as having been read and captured same into the hazards. The Speaker, I so submit.
Thank you very much. Majority Leader. Any comments? Yes. Honorable Chairman.
Mr. Speaker, so on page 107 of the votes and proceedings of Saturday, 7th November, the House was adjourned sine die, which would mean that, as the majority leader indicated, this would be the fourth meeting. So, the fourth meeting, the first week of the fourth meeting of the fourth session of the 7th Parliament.
Very well. Any other comments? Honourable members, in the absence of any further comments, if the majority leader does not have anything more to say, then
The Speaker, as I indicated, I wasn't here the final day, and if indeed the House adjourned sine die without suspending the third meeting, then on its own, this meeting will count for another substantive meeting. So it will be the fourth meeting of the fourth session of the 7th Parliament. And accordingly, therefore, we need to amend the caption of the explanatory memorandum to read as so expressed. Thank you.
thank you very much. In the absence of any further contributions, the business statement is accordingly adopted. Honourable members, at the commencement of public business, item listed 5, presentation papers. A. I. By the Minister for Finance. Honourable Majority Leader, we are on AI.
Speaker, if I may seek permission for the Deputy Minister of Finance to stand in for the Minister of Finance to present the papers listed as 5A, Roman number 1 to 3, on behalf of the Finance Minister.
Very well. 5AI.
Vice Credit Agreement between the Government of the Republic of Ghana, represented by the Ministry of Finance and the Export-Import Bank of India, amounts of $158,617,764 United States dollars. Finance the design and build contracts for the Tamale Wale Wale Road, Phase 1, Savlugu to Waliwali, 30 kilometers to 113 kilometers.
The paper is duly referred to the Finance Committee for consideration and report. Aye.
Mr. Speaker, 5A Roman 2 is a contract agreement which will be presented by the Minister for Roads and Highways.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Indeed, the chairman of the Committee on Finance is right. I think it's been wrongly listed on the order paper. It should be the Minister for Roads and Highways to present this agreement to the House. Mr. Speaker, in that regard, if you indulge me, I want to present the paper on behalf of the Minister for Roads and Highways.
Very well.
Contract agreement between the government of the Republic of Ghana, represented by the Ministry of Roads and Highways, and the JMS India Limited, for an amount of 158,617,764 United States dollars for the design and build contracts for the Tamale Waliwali Road Phase 1, Savlugu to 30 kilometers to 113 kilometers.
The report is duly laid. And should this be referred to the Committee on Roads and Highways and the Finance Committee? Roads and Highways.
Yeah, Roads and Transport.
Only.
Roads and Transport Committee. The Committee and Transport.
Only. Very well. The document is duly referred to the Transport Committee for consideration and report. Aye.
Request for waiver of import duty, import VAT, import debt fund, import NHIL, XM levy, and special import levy, Ghana the equivalent of 11,402,280 Great Britain pounds on materials and equipment in respect of the design and delivery of prefabricated bridges for development throughout Ghana by Messrs. Mabe Bridge, registered Pro Global Limited of the United States.
The document is duly laid and is referred to the Committee on Roads and Highways for consideration and report. Item B. I. Honorable Majority Leader.
Reports of the Auditor General on the public accounts of Ghana, public boards, corporations and other statutory institutions for the period ended 31st December 2019.
The report is duly laid and referred to the Public Accounts Committee for consideration and report. Aye. Honorable Majority Leader.
Reports of the Auditor General on the public accounts of Ghana, ministries, departments and other agencies of the central government for the year ended 31st December 2019.
The report is duly laid and is referred to the Public Accounts Committee for consideration and report. Aye.
Reports of the Auditor General on the public accounts of Ghana, technical universities and polytechnics for the period ended 31st December 2019.
The report is duly laid and is referred to the Public Accounts Committee for consideration and report. IV.
Reports of the Auditor General on the accounts of district assemblies for the financial year ended 31st December 2019.
The report is duly laid and is read to the Public Accounts Committee for consideration and report. V.
Reports of the Auditor General on the pre-university educational institutions for the financial year ended 31st December 2019.
The report is duly laid and is read to the Public Accounts Committee for consideration and report. V.
Analysis reports of the Auditor General on performance audits on 50 district assemblies under Governing Accountability Mechanism 2.
The report is duly laid and is referred to the Public Accounts Committee for consideration and report. VII.
Reports of the Auditor General on the management and utilization of District Assemblies Common Fund DACF and other statutory funds for the year ended 31st December 2019.
The report is duly laid and is referred to the Public Accounts Committee for consideration and report. C. By the Chairman of the Committee. I.
Reports of the Committee on Education on the Pre-Tertiary Education Bill 2020.
The report is duly laid and for distribution. II.
Reports of the Committee on Education on the Ghana National Research Fund Bill 2020.
The report is duly laid and is for distribution to honorable members. I.
Reports of the Committee on Education on the Public Universities Bill 2020.
The report is duly laid and is for distribution to honorable members. 6. Presentation and first reading of bills. Honorable Minister for Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I seek your leave to withdraw the PPP, the private partnership, the Public-Private Partnership Bill 20, laid on the 13th of October this year. And the reason we want to withdraw, Mr. Speaker, is that we'll relay having corrected some of the matters that came up in our engagement with various stakeholders.
The bill is duly withdrawn. Yes, so the bill is duly withdrawn with liberty to apply. Is it laying anyone? Are you laying your revised one?
Yes.
Very well.
An act to provide for the development, implementation and regulation of public-private partnership arrangements between contracting authorities and private parties for the provision of infrastructure and to establish institutional arrangements for the regulation of public-private partnerships and to provide for related matters.
The bill is duly read the first time and referred to the Finance Committee for consideration and report. Item listed 7. There's a little discrepancy on page 3. You may move on to page 4. Item listed 7.
The Speaker, we'll step down item number 7.
Yes.
And deal with item number 8. Item number 8.
So, item, Honorable Majority Leader, are we? Item listed 8. Honorable Minister for Finance. Honorable Majority Leader, what is the position? Item 8.
Item 8.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to move that the Insurance Bill 2020 be now read the second time. Mr. Speaker, the purpose of the bill is to repeal, by way of reenactment, the Insurance Act 2006, Act 724, to establish the National Insurance Commission to provide for the regulation and supervision of the insurance market. Mr. Speaker, the bill forms part under the auspices of the Ministry to grow the insurance industry, strengthening the corporate governance of the industry, and increase its accessibility to the Ghanaian populace, in farmers, informal sector operators, and the low-income segment, and making it vibrant, adequately capitalized to enhance the country's economic development. The Insurance Act 2006, Act 724, was enacted to address the then weak regulatory framework in the old legal regime regulating the industry, but it has witnessed great advancements stemming from the recent developments on the international insurance market, a growing customer base, and the fast-developing socio-economic settings of the country since its enactment. Therefore, the Insurance Bill has become necessary to provide, the Insurance Bill of 2020 has become necessary to provide a stringent regulatory framework to sustain the industry and protect customers. The bill seeks to ensure that the insurance sector is regulated in accordance with international regulatory and supervisory standards and would incorporate reformative principles, including provision of capital adequacy framework, provisions, management and internal controls, provision which enhance the capacity of insurance companies to comply with the international best practices, as well as the introduction of risk-based supervisory requirements. The bill also introduced additional compulsory insurances to protect innocent third parties. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Yes, Honorable Chairman.
Mr. Speaker, I associate myself with the bill and present the report of the Finance Committee. Mr. Speaker, a vibrant and adequately capitalized insurance industry is seen by government to be necessary for the achievement of a significant level of economic development. Given that one of the key objectives of government is to achieve economic development, it is quintessential that the requisite steps are taken to help the development of the insurance industry. Mr. Speaker, statistics about the growth of the insurance sector indicate the sector has achieved a 20% year-on-year growth rate, and over 30% of Ghanaians have it, excluding pensions and health insurance. The statistics further indicate that the total gross premium for the insurance sector for the year 2018 alone was 3 billion cedis. These achievements notwithstanding, the insurance penetration rate countrywide remains relatively low. This bill is targeted at increasing the insurance penetration rate by developing a stringent regulatory framework to protect customers and prevent the collapse of the industry. Mr. Speaker, the bill is divided into 265 clauses and has 2 schedules. Observations. Mr. Speaker, the committee said that the current bill forms part of the initiatives of the National Insurance Commission under the auspices of the Ministry of Finance to grow the insurance industry by strengthening the corporate governance of the industry and increasing its accessibility to the Ghanaian populace, in particular farmers, infector operators, and the low-income segments of the economy. The committee observed that as a member of the International Association of Insurance Supervisors, Ghana is expected to comply with the insurance core principles issued by the association. Even though the bill has been crafted to ensure implementation of the insurance core principles, maximum attention has been given to the need to streamline elements to suit the state of development of the insurance market and facilitate the development of insurance for the low-income segment of the Ghanaian population. Mr. Speaker, a number of amendments have been proposed, which are on pages 19 through to 24 of the report. The committee, in view of the foregoing, respectfully recommends to the House to pass the Insurance Bill 2020 into law in accordance with the Constitution and the standing orders of this House, subject to the amendments proposed. I shall submit, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I want to speak in support of the motion. And I will indicate clearly that this bill addresses a number of issues. And for the first time, if you look at page 16 of the report, the compulsory workmen's compensation insurance is very crucial in the changes that have been done, because quite a number of professional people in their various professions need to be insured for the kind of risk they run, and the bill recognizes that. I believe that if this bill is passed, it will compel institutions that have these staff and properly protected by the law they give. Again, if you look at the objective of ensuring that the insurance market is deepened, there are a number of things that need to be ensured. In fact, even including the elections that we did, some people need to insure themselves against losses. So the more we deepen the penetration of insurance, the better it is for us. There are a number of institutions that carry out their functions without ensuring that they have insured. And in the event of any risk that they suffer, they should get right. The most important thing is the section 2 of this matter, that compliance with insurance core principles, that is shifting. Internationally, we need to conform to these principles, and they are stated in to ensure that when you are in practice, you adhere strictly to the principles. And if you do so, fine. I'm very happy that the bill that was originally laid had something to do with national health insurance, private sector insurance. Fortunately, in this new bill that has been laid, that issue is a moot point, because there was an attempt to take over what was happening, the regulatory function of the National Health Insurance Authority in this particular case. But once it is out, I think that is good for everybody to move on. And for me, I think it's a good thing that the Insurance Commission has brought this bill to update it properly and to ensure that whatever we pass here really will deepen the penetration of insurance in this country. Because it's a very large area and it could provide funds for government activity and other people. Thank you very much. I support it.
Thank you. Yes, Honorable.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to add my voice to the report. Mr. Speaker, I fully support the report of the committee, considering the fact that the banking and the insurance sector have an interrelationship. Having looked at major reforms in the banking sector, I think it's really right on time to look at the insurance sector. Mr. Speaker, if you look at page 19 in particular, the committee records as follows that the Commissioner of Insurance further informed the committee that, like all other sectors, Mr. Speaker, without boring you, basically that paragraph talks about locked up capital and of that the Commissioner expressed in the insurance companies getting back these monies. The point I want to underscore here is that, Speaker, with this bill, we would have to pay attention to issue of corporate governance as key to the survival of the insurance sector. Because, Mr. Speaker, they receive premium. If we do not enact the law in a manner that would ensure that the insurance sector strictly complies with it, then, Mr. Speaker, in 2 years' time, we would be seeing what we saw yesterday. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I am happy that the committee has made extensive amendments when you come to the clause and the duties and liabilities of members of the board. It's very important so that the insurance company not just be investing anyhow. You invest in anything that would help grow the economy and give assurance to the insured. If you take people's monies and you don't invest them properly, the time is due. Some is due for pension. You come and introduce a product. And at the end of the day, the citizenry will fall back on government. That the very money that is needed for roads would have to be used to pay for insurance because the insurance company failed. Mr. Speaker, we cannot continue on that path. We can't sustain it. Therefore, I am happy that this bill has arrived here. We are going to strictly look at it, ensure that the duties and responsibilities on management, on directors, are set. It will no more become this recklessness and somebody taking liability because it will have a political effect, etc., etc. So, Speaker, I believe that members are ready to fully participate in the enactment of this law. I have my commitment and will ensure that this bill sees the light of day. I thank you so much and I thank the committee for their industry.
Honorable hearing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to add my voice to those who support the motion to take this bill through second reading. And, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to focus on one thing that I think has been ignored in terms of legislating insurance. We compel everybody to insure, but we often don't compel the state itself to insure either its assets or its personnel. So, Speaker, I live an example of somebody who was in a government vehicle which was involved in a near-fatal accident. And to my shock and surprise, the Land Cruisers that the ministers and chief directors and directors and all the government officials are driving in town and are not insured. To my surprise, Mr. Speaker. I don't know if the Land Cruiser, Mr. Speaker, is being driven in is insured. I'm not bringing Mr. Speaker into the debate, but I'm just saying that I wonder if it has been insured. But most of the vehicles at the ministries tend not to be insured, and public officials get involved in accidents, and they do not benefit from any compensation for insurance companies. And so I think that going forward, we'll look through this legislation, and no compulsory provision for the state to also insure its assets, in order to ensure the safety of its personnel. This is a matter that we should look at. And secondly, Mr. Speaker, this bill, I believe, will see to the action and development of the insurance sector as a subset of the financial sector. Mr. Speaker, let's take, for instance, the oil and gas sector. The oil and gas sector, when the industry started in Ghana, in the initial stages, we couldn't find local companies to insure some of the major activity in the oil and gas sector. And therefore, foreign insurance firms tended to benefit from the oil and gas sector until they formed the Ghana Oil and Gas Insurance Pool, which essentially brought in different smaller insurance companies locally to take on upstream end of the insurance business and cover that. But increasingly, you will see that the GOGIP is also trying to move into midstream and downstream insurance of oil and gas sector, which is an issue, Mr. Speaker. And I do not see any very clear effort in this legislation to deal with the emerging insurance industry in the oil and gas sector. I see there's a provision in it for innovative insurance licensing. And I thought that innovative insurance licensing deals with situations such as the Ghana Oil and Gas Insurance Pool. Insurance companies are coming in together to see if they could take the available business and distribute among themselves and then chop it into pieces and insure. Mr. Speaker, I think that we need to be very clear on those ones and to provide some protection for local insurance that are doing in the downstream and the midstream part of the insurance of the oil and gas industry. So, Mr. Speaker, I think that there's a lot to be done on this when we get into the details. But all in all, it's important that in our financial sector reforms, we are the insurance sector as a subset that needs to be properly regulated so that we don't face the kind of challenges that we found in the banking sector. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I support the motion that we take this through the second reading so that during consideration stages, all these ideas can be brought in by way of amendments. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Final contribution.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for giving the opportunity to contribute to the motion for the second reading of the Insurance Bill 2020. Mr. Speaker, a lot has been said. I must indicate that the insurance industry is one of the key sectors in the field of financial, is one of the key areas in the field of the financial sector of every economy. So, Speaker, I have a look at the bill and I have certain concerns. One, compulsory workmen compensation and group life insurance for at least 30 workers will be compulsory. Mr. Speaker, we do not have a compulsory business in this country. It's only in the field of insurance that we try to make certain areas compulsory. Workmen compensation has been with us for some time now, and the Labour Department and then the employers has been handling this very dutifully. There hasn't been any problem. However, under this law, it is going to be a compulsory business. What is the problem regarding the compensation in the country that this bill is seeking to cure by way of making it a compulsory business? Life insurance policy has been with us, it has never been compulsory business, but under this law, it is going to be a compulsory business. At a level, the Employers Association raised a bit of concern
regarding this compulsory business. And I believe as we do by cross consideration, we need to take their input on board in making the law so that their concern regarding the compulsory workmen compensation should be adequately addressed. Mr. Speaker, the fact remains that government is the largest employer. Is the compulsory workmen compensation going a long way to affect the government such that the employees at the government sector will also be given this kind of a compulsory business? This is what we should look at. Mr. Speaker, the bill is also seeking to put the underwriting of private health insurance under the National Insurance Commission. And I feel strongly the National Insurance Commission does not have the structures to, as we speak right now, regulate the underwriting of the private health insurance in the country, and it should still remain under the National Health Scheme, because the National Health Insurance Scheme have the legislative framework and the structure to actually regulate the private health insurance regarding the underwriting. Mr. Speaker, in this law, if you are a broker if you're director of an insurance brokerage company, you are debarred from being a director of an insurance company. Mr. Speaker, if a shareholder of a brokerage company can be a director of an insurance company, why are you preventing somebody who serves just as a director of a brokerage company from being a director of an insurance company? Speaker, if you are a director of an insurance brokerage, nothing prevents you from also being a director of an insurance company. If the reason lies in conflict of interest between a director of a brokerage company and the shareholder, who is more likely to be in conflict of interest? So the process by which this law is going to debar a director of a brokerage company from serving as a director of an insurance company, for me, Mr. Speaker, is not good. My second reason against the provision is that we don't have too many experienced insurance practitioners in this particular country. So if you said if an insurance practitioner is a director of a brokerage company, such a person is disqualified from acting as a director of an insurance company, then the requirement that we are setting down for the insurance companies to meet, there's going to be a real difficulty, because the insurance companies may be able to get the knowledgeable and experienced insurance practitioners to serve on the insurance company. Mr. Speaker, in the industry, it is clear that after working in the industry, they retire to work in their small corner as a brokerage. They form brokerage. So if those experienced people in the industry are not given the opportunity to serve on the insurance companies, then, Mr. Speaker, this may be a sure recipe for disaster. In any case, I support the motion and I urge the House to pass this bill into law. I thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you very much. That sitting held extended beyond the regular hours. Yes, Honorable First Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm excited to make a small comment on the suggestion that government vehicles are not insured and that they should join the insurance as provided for by law. Mr. Speaker, my keen interest is the fear that the impression may be created that government vehicles are not insured, so to speak, and for that matter, if they get involved in an accident, victims are not covered. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, over the years, the principle has been that government is its own insurer. The whole essence of insurance is creating a pool of risk, people who carry risk. They make contributions so that if an accident happens, the victims are compensated from the pool. But government says they have sufficient resources to compensate those who are victims of vehicles I own. That has been the principle. But indeed, government agencies sometimes take themselves out and insure their vehicles. Mr. Speaker, when I had the privilege of heading DVLA, I took out the pool, DVLA, and insured all vehicles run and managed by DVLA. That's how we were able to replace vehicles that got involved in. Sometimes, recklessly, a driver is sent to Jolu. The next time you hear he's gotten involved in an accident at Pandai, he was nowhere near, and if somebody got injured, the driver would otherwise be on a frolic of his own, but you would have lost our vehicle. But because we insured our vehicle outside the government pool, we're able to replace them. But more importantly, nothing helps any victim. And I'm sure many of us private legal practitioners have had the occasion to take compensation from government for accidents which are the fault of drivers of government registered vehicles owned by government. And therefore, though government does not often insure all its vehicles, let every Ghanaian be assured that if a vehicle owned by the government of Ghana is involved in an accident, you will not be. He's asking me under which law? The law of compensation does not require anybody to join any group. The person who is the tortfeasor is bound to pay, and if the tortfeasor does not have an insurance, the vehicle owner is the payer. So drivers in this case, they are not the owner of the vehicle is the person. And I have, whilst in private legal practice, taken judgments against me, the audit service, and exacted execution against the minister in many instances. I mean, we in our chambers, we used to target the MDs of the government agencies. Very soon, money will come. We will target the vehicle of the agency head, and shit for execution, and soon they will bring money. But the point I'm making is that it is not the case that because government vehicles are often not insured, I mean that victims of accidents involving vehicles are not compensated for. Government is its own insurer, and if you get a judgment for compensation, government pays you. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. I did say that was the last one. Please. I'll put a question. Leadership. Leadership, please.
Speaker, just to few observations about this report of the committee. First, Mr. Speaker, the obligation is on the state, as per Article 3610, to safeguard the health, safety, and welfare of all persons in employment. Speaker, the state is also obligated under Article 37(6) to ensure that contributory schemes are instituted and maintained to guarantee economic security for the self-employed and other citizens of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, insurance, the purpose of insurance is to guarantee economic security in times of imperilment. Mr. Speaker, as the committee has indicated, the insurance is necessary for the achievement of significant level of economic development. Mr. Speaker, we're told that in Ghana, 30% of Ghanaians have insurance. Mr. Speaker, I really doubt this figure, because we don't have to stretch your imagination. In any community, any township, just take a careful look. How many people in the community have insurance cover? I have serious doubt about this. Yes, you could have one person taking so many insurance policies. Just one person could have so many insurance policies. Just like one person could have about maybe 4 or 5 mobile phones at his or her service. And then it is said that, oh, 27 million Ghanaians have mobile phone connectivity. That is not true. That is not true. The Speaker, is the extension of the same act that is underpinning this. 1/3 of Ghanaians certainly don't have insurance cover. They don't. I'm not too sure that, because you see, the most people who have insurance are people in regular employ, that is in government employment. There are very few people in private employment who have insurance. The vast majority of those of them in private employment don't have insurance policy. And of course, we also recognize that government's own employment opportunity is not up to a tenth of what employment potential that this country has. So for anybody to conclude that 30% of Ghanaians have insurance, and that excludes pensions and health insurance, Mr. Speaker, I have my of the basis of these statistics. Mr. Speaker, those of them who have insurance cover, they are beginning to lose interest and trust in taking insurance policies, because you want to restitute yourself by having an insurance policy. And yet, when in situations of imperilment, it becomes difficult, sometimes over 2, 3, 4, 5 years, to have your claim paid. And that is why I'm happy that we're having this bill to indeed establish a regulatory framework to protect customers, in particular those policies. The Speaker, I know that it's often not very difficult for senior people in government employ to have claims paid to them. But even junior officers in government employment have difficulty. And that is why I'm happy that we're going to have the insurance bill for 2020 to establish stringent regulatory regime for both the claimers and also the companies that undertake this enterprise. The Speaker, it's been said that government vehicles are insured. Parliament vehicles are insured. And over the past couple of years, we've taken a policy, the board has taken a policy. I think we did so under Justice Bamfado as the Speaker. And since then, we have been insuring vehicles that are owned by Parliament. The Speaker, government should not only be insuring their vehicles, facilities, also the facilities, the structures, stadium, for instance. And I do recollect, I don't know whether it's done now, but when we had a stadium disaster, we resolved to have the Ministry of Youth and Sports insure all public stadia in the country. I don't know whether it's up, but we need to ensure that the appropriate thing is done. Overall, Mr. Speaker, I believe this is a very useful bill, and we should endeavor to have this bill passed as possible in order for what is appropriate to be done to both customers and also the providers of insurance cover for the people of this country. Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much for the space granted me.
Thank you very much. Honourable members, at the conclusion of the debate, all those in favour of the motion say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it.
And establish a National Insurance Commission to provide for the regulation and supervision of the insurance market and for related matters.
The Insurance Bill 2020 is duly read a second time. Yes, Honourable Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, it's unfortunate that we didn't begin sitting early enough because of what we have to prepare the House for today's sitting. And it's approaching 3 o'clock. I would want to plead with colleagues for us to take an adjournment in early enough tomorrow. The business that will be set out for tomorrow should, of course, in bills that need to be considered. The Creative Arts Industry Bill and also the National Blood Service, plus, I should think, the anti-money laundering bill that will be considered tomorrow. Speaker, let me also add that these referrals that have been made to committees and that ought to be considered by the House. We need between now and the 22nd of this month to be able to finish up with those referrals, knowing that if we are not able to do that, those will have to be relayed in the next succeeding Parliament. That is the Parliament beyond January 7th, 2021. Because if they are not concluded, that Parliament will have to begin anew the consideration of those bills, which is why, Mr. Speaker, that we endeavor to complete as many of the referrals as would be possible before we adjourn on the 22nd of December. On that note, Mr. Speaker, the time is past 2 o'clock, so adjourning the House, Speaker, lies with you. We could adjourn, we could also move a motion, but I think that as the practice says, we could leave it in your hands to adjourn tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Honourable Minority Chief, with any remarks?
Yeah, thank you very much, Speaker. Whereas I agree that having gone beyond 2 o'clock, the House is in your hands. I just want to remind the Majority Leader that looking at the business, we didn't anticipate double sitting. But obviously, from the tall order that we have, he will have to make provision to enable the House sitting, don't have double sitting, so that members will be properly taken care of to be able to sit beyond the 2 o'clock, so that we can see how much we can do before the 22nd that he's talking about. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Yes, thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker, I believe we may have to have such an arrangement. Unfortunately, it was not part of the Business Committee's discussion this morning, and I didn't want it to appear as if I was imposing anything on the House. I wanted to have an engagement with my colleague, the Minority Leader, before announcing same. Now, with this tacit acceptance on behalf of the Minority Leader by the Minority Chief Whip, Mr. Speaker, I believe we can adopt that stance, that perhaps beginning tomorrow, we may have to have extended sittings to deal with the matters before the House. So I thank him for the suggestion. It was on my mind, but it's good that it's come from him. If I had said so, I know he would have resisted. He hasn't resisted, it's come from him. So we take it in good faith. Mr. Speaker, thank you.
So I take it that the relevant arrangements will be, Honourable Majority Leader, I take it that the relevant arrangements will dispatch in view of the load ahead of us and the expectations regarding our working on them effectively. On that note, this Honourable House is adjourned till tomorrow, 10 o'clock in the forenoon. Thank you very much, honourable members. Today we had a few difficulties with regard to getting and other things ready. But I trust that tomorrow that teething problem will have been solved. Thank you very much.